Hey all, it's 6 p.m. on Saturday evening and we've got that weather system off the coast. See the wind flow, it's got that spiraling cyclonic appearance. A low is about 100, 200 miles offshore, right in this area here. So it's on the way out, but not after dumping quite a bit of precip in the northeast. Here's the back end of the snow area. And there's still a little bit of heavy stuff coming down in the Philadelphia, New York City area. Well, how much fell? We can go to the METAR reports, and they look like this. I pulled down some observations here. They report, some of the stations report at least twice a day the snow depth. Not all of them do, but some of them will report it. Okay, see, here's JFK. There's a coded group at the very end in the remarks, 4/027. JFK is reporting 27 inches on the ground as of 15 minutes ago. Newark Airport got 22 inches there. Philadelphia, no report. Atlantic City, no report. Reagan, Washington Airport, nothing there. Dulles has 23 inches on the ground. All right, so what is going on with that storm system off the Atlantic coast? This is where the models really come in handy. What I've got here is the 18Z analysis showing the isobars in black and thickness in red. Thickness is kind of like an average temperature from the surface up to about 18,000 feet. And what we look for with thickness is very tight packing. This is indicative of a frontal zone. So there's another zone of tight packing. And we find the fronts always on the equatorward side of that packing. So it would be like this here in green, warm front like that in green. So the net result here is a warm front drawn like that, cold front extending southward. So the cold front is definitely a couple hundred miles off the coast, and then an occluded front coming into the low kind of like that. So the frontal system has departed the northeast U.S., and what we're getting there is mostly just wraparound. So we're going to expect the precip area to kind of look like that. And then right here we see the dry slot. This is where we have subsidence, sinking motion, and we will have some cloud material there because of the very strong cold air advection coming off the coast and picking up moisture. So we could still get some showers and that kind of thing, but relatively we're not going to see a whole lot of stratiform precip like what we have up north. So storm system on its way out. It's heading for Newfoundland and Europe, and we should see probably a couple of days of very quiet weather here in the U.S. What do we have for the long term? This is where I like looking at the hemispheric 300 millibar chart. Let me see if I can get this to settle down on the analysis part. Nope, wants to loop. It's like trying to get a dog to sit and stay. Okay, so here we go. This is the hemispheric 300 millibar chart for tonight. This gives us our ultimate top-down view. Here's the North Pole, and North America is located right there. There's the U.S. So what is this telling us? Well, we've got a lot of very progressive, small-scale troughs embedded in the circulation. This is a very progressive pattern. We don't have like large ridges and troughs dipping north and south. So this isn't really going to give us much in the way of like very cold weather here in the central U.S. The other thing that I'm seeing here is this very long and very strong jet in the Pacific. This is kind of a unstable pattern, not thermodynamically unstable, but structurally unstable. These long fetches like this don't last very long. And usually what happens when I see that over a period of like days or weeks is eventually it will start buckling, and you'll see part of it go north and south, and we'll get into a very meridional pattern. And that tends to dislodge cold air from the polar regions, knocks them down here into the central U.S., and that can really change the weather pattern quite a bit. Is that what it's forecasting? Well, let's run this forward. You can see it really builds out that Pacific fetch right there, and you can see it starting to buckle there at about the 120-hour point. So this is getting into next weekend. And most of that buckling is in the form of a trough off the west coast, not so much as buckling up into Alaska and the polar regions. So probably not a whole lot of change to the pattern in the next week or two, but you can see this pattern continues into next week. There it is out in the Pacific. So this may have an impact on the weather going into February. We'll have to keep an eye on that. That's still quite a ways off. These models are not very good past the 160 to 180 hour point, but just something to keep an eye on there. And as far as the U.S. itself over the next week, you can see we've got a little bit of ridging in western Canada right there, kind of a northwesterly flow, so that'll probably kick a little bit of cool air our way around midweek. So there we go. See that little slug of northwesterly flow going into the Great Lakes. Most of that is going to impact the Great Lakes region in the eastern U.S. With this ridging out west, it's going to stay pretty quiet over the central U.S. itself. And then let's see here. Trying to get my cursor back. There we go. All right. And then getting into next weekend, it looks like we're going to have kind of a quiet weather pattern, but we're starting to pick up a little bit of moisture from the Pacific, it looks like. Well, just very briefly there. See that little, I don't know if that's off the south edge, but you see that little fetch right there? That's tapping some moisture from the eastern Pacific and bringing it up into the Gulf region in Texas. This is Saturday, Sunday next week, so it'll probably be kind of cloudy at that point. And then beyond that, it's really anybody's guess. So anyway, that's just a kind of a quick look at what's going on, something to talk about as I get these videos reinstated. We'll probably talk to you tomorrow and see what else is going on weather-wise. Have a good evening.